All right. Welcome to another live stream, where we're just going to be talking Saints a lot today. Got the lines in the chat in case y'all want to pop in. So, yeah. The first piece of news, there's really nothing to it, but some people could make the argument that this could be good. So, there was a Saints legend that came back to New Orleans. And, all right, let me just read this article to y'all. So the New Orleans Saints have wrapped up their third set of organized team activities, OTAs, of the offseason. New Orleans kicked off OTAs with practices from May 20th through May 22nd. The round of OTAs took place on May 27th before a quick break on the 28th. New Orleans returned to action on Thursday and Friday. Now the Saints just have 3 practices left before the mandatory minicamp starting on June 10th. New Orleans had a big-name visitor on Friday. The team shared photos on social media with legendary New Orleans quarterback Archie Manning in town. Manning has been brought up a lot this off, in large part because the Saints' second-round selection of Tyler Shough actually was the highest New Orleans has taken a quarterback in the draft since the team took Manning with the number 2 overall pick in the 1971 NFL Draft. He has spoken about Shough himself and praised his selection. The young signal caller has talked about wanting to learn from Manning as well. It was reported that Shough hopes to attend the Manning Passing Academy as he tries to put himself in the best position to win the Saints quarterback competition. Having a guy like Manning in town who has had success in New Orleans certainly is good at this time of the year. OTAs are going on, and the Saints are trying to implement all of the changes of the offseason. There are some new faces, including head coach Kellen Moore. It certainly doesn't hurt to bring a guy like Manning in. So, but a lot of people have been wondering, right? Because if Archie Manning does come out, which it does not look like he is, but let's say he does come out next year, I think this could be huge. Because, Archie Manning trying to help the Saints, why not, help the Saints get Archie? Or Arch, I should say. Arch Manning. But, yeah, so Archie Manning back in New Orleans, he was in the Saints. He's not part of the team, but he was, I think Tyler Shough wants a mentor like Archie Manning, and I think it could be good for him. I think it really could be good for him. You get a guy that's been there, done that. So, yeah. Anyways, next piece of information. Hold on. Next piece of information. Let's do. Hold on. Because I got a lot of topics that we could talk about. Let's talk about. Let's see. Let's do one New Orleans Saints rookie who stood out most in the 2025 minicamp. The New Orleans Saints enter uncharted waters in 2025. The sudden retirement of Derek Carr has catapulted the franchise into a state of transition. Now the roster features its share of question marks. However, one rookie in particular has seized his first opportunity to make a lasting impression. Tyler Shough. As the Saints closed out rookie minicamp, it was clear that the second-round quarterback wasn't just adjusting to the NFL. He was positioning himself to potentially lead the franchise into its next era. Yeah, so I think Tyler Shough, look, I don't really buy into too many minicamp stuff, but I will say this. I'm impressed with Shough, Obviously, minicamp isn't the actual season, but I feel like if he can play good, if he can get his confidence up, then I think the Saints will be in a good position moving forward. Next thing. Hold on. All right, next thing. Let's see. All right. Now, Tyler Shough delivers multiple wow throws in OTAs, apparently. Let me see. Okay. This is the hopeful time of year after all. So the New Orleans Saints young quarterbacks gave some reason for optimism in the second installment of organized team activities, which are OTAs. New Orleans took practice. Okay, what in the world just happened? Hold on, guys. Good. All right, we're back. But yeah, New Orleans took practice indoors Thursday as rain pelted the city in the morning hours. They ran through a roughly 80-minute session at their indoor facility with the bulk of it spent on position drills and walkthroughs. But there were two competitive periods putting the offensive and defensive skill players against each other. And that's where rookie quarterback Tyler Shough exhibited the traits that made the Saints select him 40th overall. On to the observations. Attendance. Since OTAs are voluntary, several key veterans did not participate in Thursday's practice. Based on social media videos from earlier days, some of these players appear to have been in New Orleans this week. The following players were not present at Thursday's session: Taysom Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, Alvin Kamara, J.T. Gray, Demario Davis, Bryan Bresee, Devon Godchaux, Nathan Shepard, and Cam Jordan. The following players were present but not participating: Jake Kaner, Quincy Riley, Dalen Holker, and Foster Moreau. Shough's wow moments. Take everything here with a grain of salt. The Saints have yet to go through a competitive 11-on-11 drill. The defense in particular was without several starting players, and there was no pass rush to navigate. Things would get a lot more difficult for quarterback Shough. Now, with all the necessary qualifiers out of the way, the rookie can absolutely spin it. Given about 15 players in a 7-on-7 period, Shough made several attention-grabbing throws that showed off a varied skill set as a thrower. There were the two deep shots that displayed his arm strength. Shough hit a pair of long touchdowns, one to Bub Means and the other to Donovan Peoples-Jones, both of whom had a step on their man with no safety help over the top. Shough hits each of them in stride with beautiful throws down the left sideline. All right. You got anything else? Okay. Then there was the perfectly laid throw he made to tight end Jack Stoll to open up the second period of 7-on-7s. Stoll was running a left to right crossing route behind the second level of the defense, and Shough delivered a strike that floated just over the linebacker's hands while having enough zip to beat the safety. But his best throw of the day might have come on an incompleted pass. Rolling to his left, Shough twisted his body and flicked an off-platform throw about 20 yards downfield to Cedric Wilson. The coverage was good enough to force a contested catch that Wilson wasn't able to pull down, but the pass could not have been walked to Wilson better. It was high and toward the sideline, and only Wilson was able to get a hand on it. It wasn't a perfect day for Shough, who ended the session with two straight incompletions, the last of which was thrown late over the middle and intercepted by Rajon Wright. But the good outweighed the bad by a significant margin in the limited competitive periods the Saints held. There was little question about Shough's arm coming out of Louisville, and the real test is going to come when he has to read defenses and navigate pressure. The latter being a relative weakness of his in college, but it is good to see the skill play out on an NFL field. Odds and ends. No changes to the offensive line alignment. Kelvin Banks at left tackle, Trevor Penning at left guard, and Talise Fuaga at right tackle. I would bet that is how they intend to go into the season with their starting five. It's going to be really interesting to see how the returner group plays out this year. Rashid Shaheed is one of the NFL's best, but it would make sense if the Saints would rather not have him take on the additional injury risk. The kick return group Thursday included Kendre Miller, Marcus Yarns, and Velus Jones. New Orleans did not practice punt returns, but during one special teams segment, Shaheed, Chris Olave, and Dante Pettis were all fielding punts from a jugs machine while the coverage and unit went through drills. Shough stole the show Thursday. But Spencer Rattler had some nice moments as well. He appears to be very comfortable operating the offense in year 2, which is going to earn him points with this staff. Chase Young was not at last week's session, but he was on the field this week. Both he and Carl Granderson looked like slimmed down versions of the players that took the field last year, which makes sense if it's true because the Saints are going to be asking them to drop into coverage. It's been hard to get a sense of what the Saints have in Yarns, an undrafted rookie running back out of Delaware, because all the running backs have been asked to do in competitive periods is catch a few passes out of the backfield. He's on the smaller side, listed at 5'11", 190, which will limit him in the NFL, but he does move well and is someone worth keeping in mind as the summer progresses. So yeah, man, Tyler Shoug's impressing a lot of people, which is good because the season's under 100 days away. We need Tyler Shough to be his best, and we need the entire team to rally around Tyler Shough. You know, I know this is kind of last minute because, Derek Carr didn't retire until May, I think. Yeah, I think it was sometime in May. So this is kind of last minute. I don't think Shough even expected to start week 1. But, yeah, we got Tyler Shough. And, yeah.